Sarah clutched her 4-year-old son, Daniel's small hand, tightly as she hurried down the crowded Boston sidewalk. The rain had stopped only minutes earlier, leaving the streets damp and slick, but there was no time to notice. Her heart raced. As she glanced at the glass skyscraper looming ahead, the building where her interview was scheduled, this opportunity meant everything. If she landed the job, she could finally leave behind the late nights at the diner and give Daniel the kind of stability she had dreamed of since the day he was born. She couldn't afford to fail. The morning hadn't gone as planned. Sarah had arranged for her neighbor to watch Daniel, but the older woman called at the last minute, apologizing for being unwell. Sarah had stared at the phone in panic. Missing the interview wasn't an option, so she dressed Daniel quickly, combed his soft brown hair and whispered, "You're coming with Mommy today, okay? Just stay close to me." Daniel nodded, clutching his favorite toy truck, unaware of the storm brewing in her chest. Together, they set off, her nerves rising with every step toward the office. Inside the gleaming lobby, Sarah felt entirely out of place. Men and women in polished suits strode confidently toward the elevators, while she stood in her thrift store blazer, shifting Daniel from one hip to the other. At the reception desk, a woman with a sharp bun eyed her son with a frown. "Children aren't allowed in this building," the receptionist said flatly. Sarah explained softly, her voice trembling, that she had no other choice. The receptionist sighed, clearly unimpressed, and picked up the phone. A sense of dread coiled in Sarah's stomach as she waited. Moments later, a tall man in his 40s appeared, the hiring manager she had exchanged emails with. His frown deepened the instant he saw Daniel standing by her side. "This is highly unprofessional," he said coldly. "You can't expect us to take you seriously if you bring a child to an interview. We need candidates who can prioritize the role." His words hit her like a slap. She tried to explain how she had childcare arranged, how this was a rare exception, but he cut her off with a dismissive wave. "I'm sorry. We'll have to end this here." Sarah's throat burned as she swallowed back tears. Daniel tugged her hand gently, his wide eyes confused but trusting. She crouched down to his level, forcing a brave smile even as her heart sank. "It's okay, buddy. Mommy tried." He hugged her neck tightly, sensing her sadness though she didn't speak. It allowed. Straightening, she turned toward the lobby doors, her dreams slipping further away with every step. The receptionist looked away, embarrassed but unwilling to intervene. The echo of rejection rang louder than her footsteps on the marble floor. She reached the glass doors, ready to step back into the grey drizzle, something unexpected happened. Heavy, deliberate footsteps sounded across the lobby, followed by the murmurs of staff falling silent. A tall man in his early 50s, with silver hair and an air of authority, walked in. Everyone in the building seemed to recognize him instantly. Michael Hayes, the CEO of the company, a name Sarah had read about in business articles but never imagined meeting. His sharp navy suit and steady gaze commanded the entire room without a word. Michael's eyes swept the lobby until they landed on Sarah and Daniel. He noticed the toy truck clutched in the boy's hand, the way Sarah's shoulders slumped under invisible weight, and the look of quiet defeat in her eyes. He slowed his pace, studying the scene with curiosity. Something about the woman standing at the edge of the lobby, clutching her son like he was her entire world, struck a chord within him. He stepped forward, his voice calm but firm, cutting through the silence. "Going somewhere?" Sarah froze, startled. She turned and found the CEO himself staring directly at her. The hiring manager stiffened in the background, suddenly pale. Daniel shifted closer to his mother, gripping her hand tighter. Sarah opened her mouth but couldn't find the words. All she could do was stand there, drenched in nerves and disbelief, wondering why the most powerful man in the building had stopped her from leaving. Michael's steady gaze softened as he stepped closer. "You had an interview scheduled today, didn't you?" he asked, though it wasn't really a question. His voice was calm, but the weight behind it silenced the entire lobby. Sarah nodded hesitantly, her cheeks flushing. "Yes, sir, I did. But they said—" Her voice broke, and she glanced down at Daniel, not wanting him to hear the sting of rejection. Michael turned briefly toward the hiring manager, whose posture stiffened under the CEO's sharp glance. "Is that true?" he demanded, his tone suddenly stern. The manager stammered, shifting uncomfortably. She brought a child. It didn't seem appropriate." Michael raised his hand, silencing the excuse. "So you dismissed her before she even had the chance to prove herself?" His words echoed in the wide lobby. The man flushed, realizing his mistake, and several employees lowered their eyes, suddenly fascinated by their desks. Sarah stood, frozen, torn between gratitude and embarrassment. Daniel peeked from behind her legs, watching the powerful stranger with wide, curious eyes. The toy truck in his hand made a soft clatter against the marble floor. Michael crouched down to Daniel's level, his voice gentler now. "Hey there, buddy, what's your name?" Daniel blinked shyly, then whispered, "Daniel." Michael smiled, a rare warmth breaking through his usual stern expression. "That's a strong name. Do you like trucks?" Daniel's face lit up, nodding eagerly as he held up his toy. Sarah's throat tightened. She hadn't expected kindness, not from someone like him. Watching the CEO crouch on the lobby floor to speak with her son was a sight that would never leave her memory. Standing again, Michael faced Sarah. "Being a parent doesn't make you less of a professional. In fact, it often means you're stronger than most." His words cut straight through the shame she'd carried for years. She opened her mouth to respond, but emotion choked her voice. Instead, she nodded faintly, clutching Daniel's hand tighter. Michael turned to the stunned hiring manager. "Schedule her interview again. Today, and this time give her the respect she deserves. I'll personally sit in." The man swallowed hard, nodding quickly. No one dared argue. Minutes later, Sarah found herself sitting across a polished conference table, Daniel quietly coloring on a notepad beside her. Michael sat at the head of the table, arms folded, his sharp eyes never leaving the proceedings. For the first time in years, Sarah felt like someone believed in her. She answered each question with a steady voice, speaking about her experience, her dedication, and her ability to juggle responsibilities under pressure. Every so often, Michael would nod approvingly, reinforcing her confidence. The hiring panel, once dismissive, now listened with genuine interest. When the interview ended, silence lingered for a moment. Then Michael spoke, his tone leaving no room for doubt. "She's hired." Relief washed over Sarah in a wave so strong she nearly broke down right there. Daniel looked up, sensing his mother's joy, and clapped his small hands. Sarah whispered a thank you, her voice trembling but filled with gratitude. She knew this wasn't just about a job. It was about someone finally seeing her worth, not despite being a mother, but because of it. As they walked out of the building later that afternoon, Sarah felt lighter than she had in years. Daniel skipped beside her, humming happily, while she clutched the folder that now held her job offer. For once, the future didn't feel like a shadow, but a horizon waiting to be reached. She turned back briefly, spotting Michael through the glass doors. He gave a small nod as if to say he expected great things from her. Sarah smiled, whispering to herself, "We'll make it, Daniel. This is just the beginning."